Okay, Lesson 10, Public Land Survey System. So we talked before about the mental sectors of the 7.5-minute USGS quadrangle. Remember we divided the quads into 9 sectors. Each were 2.5 minutes by 2.5 minutes. And we did our latitude and longitude projections inside them. And this would be like Sector 1, the northwest sector, Sector 2, the north sector, and so on. 3, 4, 5, 6, those sectors. Those are sectors, okay, but you've all seen these little small number 22, number 23, number 24, and there's sort of a little square that goes with each one of these. These are called sections, with numbers 1 through 36, and we'll learn that these are not the same as sectors. They're very different. While the colonial states and Texas were surveyed with a variety of surveying methods, Thomas Jefferson and folks working for him when he was president needed to come up with a survey method for all the new unsettled land that came from the Louisiana Purchase, which happened during President Jefferson's time. They came up with something called the Public Land Survey System. And every time they moved out to settle a new territory, they imposed a Cartesian grid system over the territory, kind of like an X and Y axis you may have seen in math class. So here's a map showing how the Public Land Survey System was put into play. So as you can see, I don't know if you can read the dates, but these are the earlier dates over here as they settled Ohio and Indiana and then into Illinois and Michigan and then Wisconsin, and then the dates are later and later as they headed west and settled more territory. So what they did was they would sort of lay out a territory to settle. So somebody laid out this whole section of Wisconsin and upper Minnesota, and they said, let's put the origin right here and have an X and Y axis, and all of our surveying will be off of that system. And they would label the major longitude line for that. They would call it a prime meridian. This one's called the 4th prime meridian. You can see here when they laid out this big yellow chunk of Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming, they set the 6th prime meridian as their point with their Cartesian X and Y, and they expanded from there. So each of these color-coded sections has a different prime meridian and baseline that they decided to use as the X and Y coordinate system to survey all that land. Let me show you how they use that Cartesian grid to label those surveys, and then we'll show you how those surveys show up on the USGS maps. As you can see, here is an example from your workbook of the X and Y grid system that they would lay out each time they advanced the survey system further into the frontier. So your X coordinate system, your baseline in this drawing is right here, and the prime meridian is going north and south. And then each township defined by these squares. These squares are 36 square miles, 6 by 6. And as you go north, the township lines are Township 1 north, Township 2 north, Township 3 north, and going south, Township 1 south, 2 south, etc. And then for the east and west, they called these ranges. So it was Range 1 east, Range 2 east, Range 3 east, Range 4 east, 1 west, 2 west, and so on. So each of these 36 square mile blocks was called a township, and it would be defined. So for example, this township would be Township 1 north, Range 2 east. This block would be Township 3 north, Range 3 east. And these all show up on our USGS maps. Now the way these townships are laid out on your map, they are subdivided into 1 mile by 1 mile sections that we mentioned earlier, and they show up on the USGS maps. They're numbered in kind of a funny way. They start up here in the corner at 1, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this way, and then they drop down and kind of go zigzag. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on. And so they go down in this sort of zigzaggy fashion, and that's how they're numbered. So you'll need to know that as you answer questions as to sort of which township and range you're in. So you can see on the map here, we've got a 1, and then a 2, and then a 3. So we're at the top edge of a township and range here. So we should expect that this is the upper right-hand corner of this township. And I don't know if you can see on here, this is actually labeled the UTE principal meridian. Okay, that means we're right along the y-axis, and we should be at the dividing line between range 1 west and range 1 east. And sure enough, if we look closely up here at the map, you can see range 1 west, and on the other side is range 1 east. Okay? Now we also know that since this is a 1, then right above it is sort of the starting line, the top edge of a township. So if we slide to the side over here, we can see that this is Township 1 North, Township 1 South. So here it is. This is the baseline, and it's even labeled on here. This is the baseline between these two townships, 1 North and 1 South. This is actually, right here is the access, and look, there's even a benchmark there, for the whole public land survey system called, based on the Ute principal meridian. This is ground zero for that system. And so this township down here would be referred to as Township 1 South, Range 1 West, is how we would note that. Okay, so now I want to show you just a little trick that'll help you, and you can prepare this for your binders. When you're looking to subdivide one of these sections, like here's section 22 of Township 1 South, Range 1 West, and it's this 1 square mile block. They might ask you, for example, where is this lake in the system of quarters, okay? And what we need to do there is divide this into quarters, and then again divide the quarter into quarters. And if you read the lesson 10 carefully, it'll explain this. So for example, this lake would be in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of section 22, Township 1 South, Range 1 West. And that's how you would designate this system. So to help you find the quarters better, you can take a transparency sheet. This is actually something you could put something in and have it in a binder, but you can use this. And you create yourself a template by measuring out. So first I'm going to make some marks here where the lines are, and I'm going to draw out with a Sharpie Okay, now you've got a nice template that you can lay over any section on any 7.5-minute USGS topo map, and you can quickly figure out where something is. Here are the clay pits, okay, and you can easily see that they are in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 22, township 1 south, range 1 west. Okay, and you can keep this template in your binder and use it to quickly overlay any section, as long as the map they give you in class or in the competition is a 7.5-minute USGS that has not been shrunk down. You can use this rapidly to help you locate something. The rest of the lesson is pretty well described in the worksheets I gave you, so please read it carefully. It should tell you everything you need to finish this one. Thanks.